Have you ever felt like your prayers just aren't enough? You hear about these, prayer warriors, and it sounds like they have a direct hotline to heaven 24/7. Their prayers are poetic, they're passionate. But then when it's your turn, maybe it's late at night or you're stuck in traffic, your words just feel clumsy, kind of weak, even tired. And in those moments, it's so easy to wonder, is anyone even listening to me? Does my little voice really make a difference? Well, today we are going to tackle that feeling head on, and I think the answer is going to change everything for you.
All right, so here's our game plan for today. First up, we're going to confirm that you absolutely have a voice that is heard in heaven. Then, we'll talk about what to do when you just want to give up. After that, we'll dive into the 3 ways God answers prayer, and they might surprise you. Then we'll unpack the whole idea of ask, seek, and knock. We'll also shift our perspective to see God not just as God, but as a loving Father. And finally, we'll wrap up by seeing why prayer needs to be our first line of defense, not our last resort. Let's get into it.
So let's just get right to the heart of this thing, okay? That feeling, that inadequacy that can sneak in when we try to pray, it's a real struggle. But the truth about prayer is so much more freeing than you might imagine. Let's be real for a second. Have you ever felt this way? You start to wonder if your prayers just get tossed out because they don't sound like some masterpiece. You think maybe your request gets sent to a cosmic spam folder because you didn't have enough fire in your voice. If you've ever, even for a moment, felt that, well, I have some seriously incredible news for you. The answer to that question, does God still hear me, is a loud, definite yes. And the reason why, it's going to change the way you see prayer forever.
This right here, this flips the entire script. We put so much pressure on ourselves, don't we? To find the right words, to have the right feeling, the right amount of passion. We try to put on a performance. But this one idea takes all that weight right off our shoulders. You see, the power was never in you, the one praying. It's always been and will always be in the one who is hearing the prayer. It's not about your performance, it's all about His presence.
Just let that sink in for a second. God doesn't hear you because you're brilliant. He doesn't hear you because you're clever or because you said everything perfectly. He hears you for one simple, powerful reason: because He loves you. Your access to heaven isn't based on how good you are at praying. It's based on how much He loves you. That whispered, half-finished prayer you say in your car, it is heard just as clearly in heaven as the most powerful sermon ever preached. You have a voice, and it is absolutely heard. Okay, but what about those times when the silence is just deafening? When life gets so hard that the temptation isn't just to pray badly, but to stop praying altogether. Let's talk about how to find the strength to keep going.
It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking we only need God when we're in a crisis. But the truth is, we are constantly, fundamentally dependent on Him for, everything. You'll never be so rich or so strong or so popular that you somehow outgrow your need for God. Think about it. He's the one sustaining your very next heartbeat. Giving up on prayer? It's not really an option. It's like a fish deciding to give up on water. It's the very thing we were made to live in.
Now, a huge reason people get discouraged and want to quit is because we misunderstand how prayer actually works. We tend to think that if we don't get exactly what we want right when we want it, that God isn't listening. But there's a much deeper wisdom going on. So let's look at the 3 ways God actually answers our prayers. All right, let's break this down. Think of God's answers in 3 main categories. First, you've got the direct yes. The answer is yes, and the timing is now. We love these, right? They're exciting, they build our faith. Then there's the delayed yes. The answer is still yes, but the timing is wait. And this requires some serious trust, believing His schedule is perfect even when we can't see it. And then there's the third one, the hardest one for us, denied. A simple no. But this isn't a rejection, it's a redirection. A loving Father sometimes has to say no to protect us from things we can't see coming. Wow, this quote is so powerful because it completely reframes every no we've ever gotten from God. Think about it in your own life for a minute. How many things did you pray for? Desperately pray for, that you are now so incredibly thankful you didn't get? That job that would have been a dead end? That relationship that would have been a total train wreck? A no from God is never a rejection of you, it's a protection for you. It's His wisdom stepping in to steer you away from a cliff that He can see, but you can't. And that brings me to a question for you, because I would really love to hear your thoughts on this. Can you think of a time when you prayed so hard for something, God said no, and now you can look back and say, wow, I am so thankful he did. Go ahead and share that story in the comments. I really think we could all use some encouragement from seeing God's faithfulness in each other's lives.
Okay, so if we know God hears us, and we get that his answers might be yes, wait, or no, then what's our part in all this? How should we approach him? Well, Jesus gives us a really clear 3-part instruction on the power of just not giving up.
Now, pay attention to the progression here. This isn't just 3 different words for the same thing, it's actually an escalation. Ask is using your voice, actually saying what you need. Seek takes it to the next level. Now you're using your eyes and your feet. You're actively looking, you're moving towards what you're praying for. And then knock? That's about pure persistence. You're adding your hands. You're not walking away until that door opens. It's a call to be relentless in our faith.
So why should we be so persistent? It's because our persistence is just a tiny little echo of God's incredible, breathtaking persistence in loving us. Some of you watching right now, you've been praying for something or maybe for someone for years, maybe even decades. This is for you today. Keep asking, keep seeking, keep knocking. How can we possibly give up on a God who never, ever gives up on us?
Now, all of this, asking, seeking, knocking, it is completely transformed when we really grasp who we're talking to. If we can get this next part, it changes our entire prayer life. Because real, powerful prayer always starts with relationship. Take a look at these 2 columns on the screen. Seriously, which one best describes the God you pray to? Is he some distant cosmic force that you have to somehow convince to care about your problems? Or is he a loving father, one who already knows you, who invites you to come close and who actually loves giving good gifts to his children? How you answer that changes everything. This is one of the most powerful arguments Jesus ever made. It's so logical. He's basically saying, hey, look at yourself. You're human, you're flawed, you're imperfect. And yet, you still want what's best for your own kids. You know how to give them good things. And then he hits us with the ultimate question. If a flawed human parent can do that, how much more will your perfect, all-loving Father in heaven give good things to you when you ask him? That is an incredible promise. Okay, let's just hit pause and really think about this for a second. If you got everything you prayed for in the last 7 days, would your life be noticeably different right now? If the honest answer is, not really, then maybe the problem isn't that God isn't answering. The really hard truth might be that we're not actually asking for anything that would make a difference. We're leaving all this incredible power and provision just sitting on the table. And that brings us to our final and maybe our most important section today. Understanding all this should lead to a radical shift in how we live, a change that moves prayer from being our last resort to being our absolute first response. You can almost think of it like a spiritual equation. It's incredibly simple, but it is so profound. No prayer equals no power. A little bit of prayer, you get a little bit of power. But much prayer, that equals much power. The connection between our talking to God and God's power in our lives is direct. It's undeniable. Prayer isn't just one of the keys. It is the key. So often, we do it all backwards. We get bad news, and the first thing we do is worry. We face a problem, and we start trying to figure it out on our own. We get hurt, and we call a friend to complain. We try to fix it all ourselves. And then, only when we've tried everything else and we are at the absolute end of our rope, we finally go, oh, maybe I should pray about this. The challenge today is to completely flip that script. Make prayer your immediate, your instinctive first line of defense. And that's the takeaway. The 2 words I hope you remember from all of this. Pray first. Before you worry, pray. Before you react, pray. Before you come up with a plan, before you pick up the phone to vent, before you even post about it online, pray. Make it your first instinct, not your last option. Hey, if this explainer was an inspiration to you today, please do me a favor and hit that like button. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Be Thankful. And if you know somebody who really needs to hear this, feel free to share it with them. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless.